welcome to Epic Generation's Giga Pearl Special. It can't get any more epic than this because today we are at Canada's International AutoShow at the Auto Exotica area among all the expensive cars out here. But there's one thing that's really exotic right now, and it is the world's largest pearl, the Giga Pearl. It is a treat to be with the owner of the largest pearl in the world, Mr. Abraham Reyes.
Hello, guys. I just wanted to say thank you for making this for me and for our nonprofit.
Okay, so Abraham, the kids are really excited to be able to talk to you and ask questions. Some of these kids, as you mentioned there about the nonprofit, we have those postcards that the kids have made to reflect the state of our oceans, our coral reefs, and so it's very inspiring. So initially we wanted to do some bags, but then we decided let's do a postcard. Let's collage all of your artwork because they're all great. It was so hard to choose from one of them.
All of them are winners, and they're very beautiful. Thank you for thinking about the ocean.
So we can start with questions about the pearl because I think, is that what you guys want? We want to start with the questions about the pearl, right? So this is going to be very fluid, authentic, however you want to phrase your questions, because I'm sure everybody watching on TV, all the kids want to ask the same questions. So first of all, who wants to give their reaction when they first saw the pearl? Mark? Do you want to talk about what you thought of the pearl when you first saw it?
It was an experience for me. I was feeling like happy to see that. Like I finally got to see that pearl. Like I really wanted to see it since maybe this week. Yeah.
Anira had a question about the pearl.
How did you know it was a real pearl?
That's a very good question. How did I know it was a real pearl? Well, after I brought it here over the Philippines, I brought it to a lab in New York. At the GIA, it stands for Gemological Institute of America, and they're the one who's in charge of all the gems in the world. They're the authority. So with them giving me the green light of what it is, they also educated me the type of species it comes from. So that's how I found out that it was a pearl.
Do you know how pearls are formed, or this one in this case?
So I have a treat for you to answer that question. So this is, I wouldn't say a baby giant clam, but this is those giant clams that this kind of pearl was grown from. You could see how it grew, right? Oh, sure. The pearl. How many of you seen The Little Mermaid? You remember the scalloping clam, the giant clam of Ariel? It's the same where that came from. So when I was younger, I used to also wonder, like, where did that come from? Do you know what this is? Yes, it's also a pearl. It's a blister pearl. So the pearl attached itself to the shell because an irritant went inside. So an irritant could be a sand, it could be a parasite, it could be a little crab, a little shrimp in here. Yeah, and that's how the pearl defends themselves. That's why, when pearls could no longer, or the oyster could no longer grow pearls, or any mollusk could grow pearls, that means our ocean's in trouble. Because that means they can't defend themselves anymore.
How heavy was the pearl?
How heavy was the pearl? It is 27.65 kilos. Do you know how heavy that feels? How old are you? You're 8. Anyone here 10 years old? That's how heavy this pearl is.
10 years old?
Yep, it's about an average weight of a 10-year-old child.
Does anybody wonder, we saw a baby clam shell. Who wants to know how big the clam shell is, where it came from? So you showed a baby clamshell earlier and how the blister attached to it. So now we know it's because there's irritants that go there, and so the clamshell is protecting
Yes,
itself.
it was protecting itself. It was defending itself from the foreign object.
How common is it for blisters to grow? And maybe talk about how big was the clamshell where this came from?
Okay, guys. So Just to give you guys an idea, it takes per year 5 centimeters to grow for these. It's like 5 centimeter a year for a baby to grow. So it took over hundreds of years to grow a big one. So the mother, which is the shell, is about this big. It's over 1.5 meters. Yeah. And when we found out that it was a pearl, we had it removed. You see that? This used to have a big pearl in it too, like a size of a fist. So for your treat, you see where, like how it came out?
You see the hole?
Yeah, there used to be a pearl there too, and we had it removed. So, secret with you guys only, I'm having the largest pearl pendant made soon.
How about the octopus? Who wants to ask about the octopus? Emmy.
Why do you have an octopus to carry the pearl?
So, why did I have the octopus made? Well, the octopus, is the smartest invertebrate in the ocean. They don't have, they don't have bones. So they're like relative actually to the clams and mollusk. And at the same time, I had this kind of artwork made by a very talented artist in New York. Her name is Bethany Cruel, and she loves making work with like nature, right? And this is her way of showing how Mother Nature's caring for the delicate pearl, because even though this is very heavy, it is the most delicate gem because it's organic.
Does anyone wonder the color of the octopus? What color is it? Gold. Oh, so Mr. Abraham Reyes, can you talk about the gold octopus? And does anybody wonder, does it have eyes? Okay, so who wants to know about the eyes? What do you think? Can you make a guess? What's in the eyes of the octopus? Did somebody say gems?
So the octopus, it's made out of 22 karat and 24 karat gold. And the eyes are made out of garnets. You know what birthstone garnets are? What month is it from? Yeah, so it's the birthstone of January. Okay? So when I was, over 2 years ago, I went to the Smithsonian Museum. How many of you have gone to the Smithsonian? None? So it's a beautiful place to go to learn. And they had gems as part of their collection. And when I saw these beautiful cabochon garnet eyes, I had them made, especially for the octopus, because when light hits that, it creates a star effect. So it looks like it's following you around. Can you guys guess how heavy the eyes are? No? It's about 1,000 carats together. Yeah.
How did you react when you figured out that you had the world's largest pearl?
Well, that's a good question too. At first, I was just amazed. I was shocked, speechless when I had it like authenticated and I found out it was real. And, I had to think like what I could do with it in the future, what good I could do with it, because it became my social responsibility now that I have it.
How did you discover the pearl?
How I discovered the pearl. I discovered it at my aunt's living room. But the person who discovered it was a fisherman who gave it to my grandfather back in 1959, so that's 60 years ago, and gave it to my aunt. And then my aunt in Manila, because I always visit the Philippines. I love the Philippines. So, over the years, she decided to give me her estate. And this was part of the collection.
So maybe tell us, when you were visiting the Philippines, because Mr. Reyes lives here in Canada, in Toronto, but he visits the Philippines a lot. So growing up, you kept seeing, was it on a clamshell, and where in the living room would you see it? Does it collect dust? Are you cleaning it every day?
So my tita, my aunt, had a collection of shells because she loves collecting these. Some of them she uses as a garden pot. Instead of using a regular pottery, she just puts plants in them. So I would see this when there was still a shell with it in the veranda. at that time, I would like be fascinated with. She would always tell me the story that, do you know that this is a pearl? And if I rub it, I will get good luck. Yeah.
But you didn't believe it.
But nobody in the family believed what it was. Because me and my family and all of the other cousins believe that pearls are like what Christina's wearing. Like the big South Sea pearls. Those are already big for us. And those are what pearls is to us, right?
How does it feel to be the owner of the world's largest pearl?
How does it feel to be the owner of the world's largest pearl? There's a lot of responsibility that comes with it. It's not always sunshine. You have to always think about the security. You have to think about, what you're gonna use it for. Are you just gonna display it? For me, I took it to myself that I want to share it with you guys, just like when I was young, because I was once your age, and this was part of our history, our family history, and educating you guys are part of what I want to do, and teach you guys about the coral reefs and how important it is.
How much does the pearl cost, and why have you decided to keep the pearl and show us instead of selling it?
So, Mr. Reyes, the question was, how much is it worth, and why would you not sell it? Is that your question? That's pretty much your question. Why did you decide to keep it instead of selling it?
Well, currently it has, like Christine said, the question is controversial because for insurance purposes, it's valued here in Canada at 90 million US dollars. But in Hong Kong, when I first had it appraised without the golden octopus, it was 150 to 200 million dollars US based on the carat size.
And so, are you planning to keep it? Why won't you sell it? Maybe one of them will buy it. Your buyer is here.
Oh. Well, at this time, I want to share this with you guys because, if someone buys it right now, maybe you will never see it again. We want to use it to, share it with everybody and teach them about the oceans and what could be found still. Would we see another one like this again? Or is this the last generation that will see this? Right? So while I'm the custodian of this, I want to share it with all of you guys and teach them about the health of our ocean because this is the barometer of our ocean.
After the exhibit, where do you keep the pearl?
Another controversial question. Where do you keep the pearl?
Well, the answer to that question, it's a secret.
No, it's just us and the TV.
Oh yeah.
It's okay. You can tell us.
So we keep it in a safe, but I cannot reveal where. But it is here in Toronto.
Oh, scavenger hunt. Who has another question? Jean Marie, you had a question, right? Okay.
How long did it take for you to realize that it was in fact a pearl?
After the official acquisition from my aunt, when she gave it to me, I would say 1 month because I flew from the Philippines and I believe it was September of 2016. And in November, the experts from Bangkok, Thailand, and from various parts of the world for the GIA, they came to New York to certify what it was.
How do you feel to have your pearl in the Guinness World Records?
So how do you feel that your pearl is the Guinness World Records largest pearl?
Another good question. This is not only a milestone for myself and the Giga Pearl, but it's also a milestone for the Filipino people and also my fellow Canadians, right? But not only myself but also natural history, because this is now a very historical piece that's going to be transcending to time.
So now, Mr. Reyes was talking about the postcard earlier, which some of you have done. He was talking about what his plans are. He wants to share it with the world. So maybe Mr. Reyes can now talk about what is the Giga Pearl.
The Giga Pearl is a non-profit organization. Its aim is to protect and preserve the ocean, and we're here to educate you guys about the coral reefs. Because you know the coral reefs, it's what protects the shorelines. It is all where the food comes from. That's the nursery of the sea. So it is very important. It is also almost 50% of the ocean's creatures. You know, our medicines, they take a lot of pharmaceutical companies uses a lot of the resources from the pathogens of marine life to create medicine.
I think there was a part that Mr. Reyes has not touched on, which will showcase our Philippine heritage even more after the show, is that you mentioned that this came from the Philippines. And I don't know if you guys are aware of how rich the Philippine seashore is, right? And how many species are there. So he was making a comparison earlier. I was talking to him behind the camera in terms of what can you tell us about where this came from, what part of the island or what part of the coral reefs, and what's the state?
So, this is found not in a very deep part of the ocean. It was found in the coral reefs because that's where they could live and foster. So they grow actually where sunlight could still pass through the waters. In the Philippines, we have so much species. We are the Amazon of the sea, just like in the Amazon, where the Amazons are for the rainforest, right? So imagine the migration, just like the birds when they fly to the south during winter season. Same thing with our ocean. That's where they go. They are, to give you guys a comparison, if you go diving, in the Philippines, there's 600 out of 700 species of corals. In the Caribbean, there is 60. So you see the gauge?
So can you believe how much species are there in the coral reefs of the Philippines? So the next time you visit the Philippines, you know what to do. What are you going to do? Dive, snorkel, look at those coral reefs because they're very colorful, right? Okay, so I think we've learned a lot today in terms of the heritage, where it came from, how the pearl is like. Any last questions? This is your last chance to ask a question. Ava's looking at me like, I have a question. Now, this is a controversial one, I think.
Could you take it home?
I think what she meant is that, are you taking it home and can we take it home instead?
Oh. You want to take home the pearl? No, I'll give you a pearl. You want one? Here.
Oh, he's giving you a pearl. So this is the pin. So this is for the nonprofit organization. We have those glass pins, and that is actually the miniature of the pearl that we see.
It's like in an aquarium. Here you go, Eva.
All right, guys. Are you all good? Yeah? Did you learn something? What's the one main thing when you leave the auto show, you leave the booth of the Giga Pearl that you're always going to remember? What is it?
And how big it was.
Yes, I think that's what everybody's just thinking, is that this is gigantic. This is really epic, right? This is the largest of the largest pearl. So nobody had really thought that a pearl could look like this, right? Everybody thinks it's just like the pearl necklace that we see, but then we have this huge, what does it look like to you? Everybody keeps coming here and they have an impression of what it looks like. Honestly, what does it look like to you?
A rock.
They think a rock. A tooth, yes, I like that. People keep saying, that's not a pearl. No, this is the real pearl and it looks like a tooth. But anyway, so there you go, guys. Thank you for joining us today. It was really an epic time that we have with Mr. Reyes in learning more about the Giga Pearl, which is the largest pearl in the world, something that Filipinos, Canadians should be proud of, and it's going to be part of our natural history. So, but anyway, thank you for coming here at Canada's International AutoShow and for being with us and asking your questions with Mr. Reyes. Okay, so now, who wants to touch the pearl? But you know what? We gotta ask the most important. It's not Mr. Reyes that's gonna say yes or no. It's Mr. Dumlao there, our security guy, who's gonna say whether you can or you cannot. So there you go, guys. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed our Giga Pearl special today. It is truly an epic adventure for all the kids here, and I hope you enjoyed it as well and got your questions answered. But before we go, we're going to share with you a heritage type of dance, a cultural dance, which is from the Maranao, because the pearl came from the southern region in Mindanao. And in the early days, back in the day, the first pearl that was found in the Philippines is the Pearl of Allah. And so this dance is to commemorate and to give honor to the pearl. So what better way to end the show than with this heritage dance performed by some of our friends from the Northumberland.